In the long, bloody history, nations have marched into battle against powerful empires. We have fought over land, gold, and freedom. We faced down Roman legions and iron tanks. But in 1932, the Army of Australia, armed with heavy automatic machine guns, marched into battle against a terrifying new enemy. An enemy that stood 6 feet tall and could run at 35 miles per hour. An enemy with zero regard for human tactics. This is the story of how a modern military mobilized against 20,000 flightless birds and suffered a complete, humiliating defeat. It all started right after World War I. Thousands of brave soldiers returned back home. The government gave them farmland in the wilderness. "Turn this land into wheat," the government said. The veterans worked 16-hour days in the sun. Then, in 1929, the global economy crashed! Wheat prices completely plummeted to the ground. The farmers were broke and completely betrayed. And that is when 20,000 emus arrived! The emus smashed through the broken farm fences. They ate every single piece of green wheat! Desperate, the farmers asked the defense minister for help. The minister sent heavy artillery machine guns! Major Meredith was sent to lead the army. He expected the mission to take just a few days. On November 2nd, they spotted the truck crash disaster. Major Meredith realized that chasing emus in vehicles was complete. The birds were too fast, too unpredictable, and seemed to outsmart every single military move. Local newspapers quickly picked up the story, turning the campaign into a national laughingstock. Inside Parliament, politicians began fiercely debating the absurd cost of the ongoing military operation. Headline stories mocked the army, claiming the flightless birds were winning every major tactical engagement. One politician sarcastically asked if a special combat medal should be awarded to the emu commanders. Another joked that the birds possessed bullet-stopping powers equal to frontline armored military tanks. Over 2,500 rounds of ammunition had been fired, with barely a fraction of emus taken down. The cost of wasted bullets was rapidly exceeding the total value of the wheat crops they were facing endless public embarrassment. The defense minister had no choice but to reconsider the war effort. So, on November 8, 1932, the defense minister officially ordered a complete military. Major Meredith and his tired artillerymen packed up their machine guns, loaded their truck. The news of the army's withdrawal spread rapidly, and the emus were declared the undisputed winners of round 1. Thousands of hungry birds poured into the fields, tearing up remaining crops and smashing water supplies. The local wheat farmers were furious, watching their entire year's labor get eaten alive within a few days.
A delegation of veteran farmers gathered together, demanding the state government take immediate action.
They warned that without army protection, thousands of tons of wheat would be completely destroyed. Under extreme political pressure from local leaders, the Minister of Defense was forced to. Major Meredith returned to the region, but this time he abandoned mobile chases entirely. He realized that chasing fast birds in heavy trucks across bumpy terrain was a complete recipe for disaster. Instead, the military switched to a patient strategy of fortified stationary ambushes. The gunners carefully concealed their positions near key water dams where emus gathered during heat waves. They sat motionless under the burning desert sun for hours, waiting for the birds to enter their. This new tactic proved slightly more effective, allowing soldiers to catch small groups off guard. By late November, the army was taking down approximately 100 emus every. However, compared to the remaining population of nearly 20,000 birds, it was barely a. The emus continued their daily raids, stepping over fallen fences and consuming massive amounts of grain. Major Meredith submitted regular progress reports, praising the survival skills of the enemy. He noted that even when wounded, an emu could continue sprinting at full speed for over a mile. Their dense feather structure and heavy muscle mass made them surprisingly resistant to small arms fire. Finally, On December 10, 1932, the second military campaign was officially brought to an end. The final military revealed that nearly 10,000 rounds of heavy ammunition had. In return for all those bullets, the army had confirmed under 1,000 official emu kills. That meant it took roughly 10 heavy military rounds just to take down a single flightless bird.
The economic cost of the expended army ammunition was far higher than the total financial.
The Australian government had to face the harsh reality. Using military force against wildlife, the artillery units permanently packed up their gear and withdrew from Western Australia forever. With the army gone, the wheat farmers were left to find a more practical solution on their own. In 1934, another massive drought hit the interior, and farmers pleaded for military help again. The Australian government firmly rejected the request, refusing to repeat the embarrassment of 1930. Similar requests were made in 1938 and 1943. Every single time, government officials instantly denied the requests, learning their lesson from history. Instead of military force, the government finally implemented a highly successful cash bounty system. Local farmers were given financial incentives to hunt and trap pests on their own private land. In 1934 alone, over 57,000 bounties were successful. The government also invested heavily in building massive, reinforced steel barrier fences. These tall steel fences proved completely impenetrable, successfully keeping emus out of wheat fields for good. With proper fencing and local management, the long-standing crisis between humans and nature was Though the immediate conflict was resolved, the Great Emu War left a profound legacy on Australia.
It changed the way the government approached environmental challenges, moving away from brute force logic.
The story became a national curiosity, shared from generations became a national curiosity. In the decades that followed, the unusual military campaign entered the realm of popular culture. Books were written, radio plays were produced, and eventually, the internet made it globally famous. Thousands of internet memes celebrated the bird's bizarre victory over machine gun fire. The tale of the army that lost to wild nature resonated with people all over the world. Scientists also became fascinated, studying the remarkable survival biology of the emu. They discovered that emus possess advanced social behaviors and early warning communication systems. This natural intelligence allowed them to easily outmaneuver the static and rigid military strategies. Their anatomy was also a significant factor. Emus can lose considerable body fat, and they can survive non-vital injuries, which often would have been lethal for other species. The entire campaign was a clash between human technological hubris and environmental reality. It became a classic case study in unintended consequences when interfering with ecosystems. Today, the emu remains a massive icon for Australia, respected rather than feared. It is officially featured on the national coat of arms, a symbol of resilience. It was chosen for its inability to walk backward, representing constant national forward momentum. This forward motion made them a living counterinsurgency nightmare for the 1932 artillerymen. Historians will always cite the Great Emu War as the time when the ultimate conclusion? Nature does not always surrender, especially as the final memory of 1932 faded, the emu problem stabilized. Bounties and fencing continued to manage numbers, becoming an effective containment strategy. But every year when the interior drought set in, the legend...
It was a reminder that while the immediate conflict ended, the tension never truly disappeared.
The conflict became a bizarre benchmark for all future animal-wildlife policy in Australia. Other human-wildlife conflicts were measured against it. Is it as bad as the emus in 32?
It inspired a new genre of environmental humor, celebrating the resilient underdogs of the natural world.
It showed that the dynamic complexity of ecosystems cannot be managed with linear military logic. The saga has been referenced in books, TV shows, and video games across. It has become a permanent digital citizen of global popular culture, outliving all of its participants. But beyond the humor, there is a fundamental message. Sometimes, the Great Emu War of 1932 was not a story of victory or defeat, It was a story of collision, observation, adaptation, and finally, respectful containment. It showed us that the most significant biological truth is often the most resilient. Nature simply. Major Meredith's ultimate respect for the emu is perhaps the most critical takeaway from the entire operation. His observation on their bulletproof capacities effectively made the case for ecological containment. It changed the national understanding of the Australian environment as something to live with, not defeat. And whenever historians gather to discuss unexpected outcomes, this conflict always rises. A living, feathered proof that even when a technologically superior force mobilizes, nature didn't even bother to fight back. It just kept running. When the dust settled, and all participants had faded from the world, only the birds remained, patrolling the landscape as they had for millennia. They stand as a bizarre testament to a brief moment of human environmental madness. A final environmental lesson. Sometimes, the most unexpected underdogs are wild. They didn't plan their victory, they just survived. And in doing so, they humbled an entire nation. It became a global joke and a local benchmark for policy failure, but it also became beloved. It showed us that the most significant biological truth is often the most resilient. And whenever people discuss history's strangest moments, this campaign a constant, feathered reminder that nature cannot be defeated. Proof that sometimes the most unexpected underdog can win the war.